When I was a kid, we lived in my mother's childhood home. She had lived in a house as a child, and when my parents married, they bought it for old time's sake. The neighborhood had older single-family homes, built on a slight slope. Most looked a little worn down, paint peeling, siding falling off, that sort of thing. But if you overlooked that, it was a great neighborhood. I was friends with the boy next door. Sam was a year older, and our other best friend Jim lived 2 houses up from Sam. The 3 of us were inseparable. We bicycled to school, we hung out in the evenings. There was an abandoned house that we passed each day, on the way to school. It had a large oak tree in front of it. We'd never seen anyone at the house. The windows were shut, the grass grew tall outside. The story I'm about to tell you happened on a day Jim was sick. He had taken the day off from school. It was just Sam and I, and we decided to check the abandoned house out. Who knew, maybe there were hidden treasures in there. Or mysteries to be solved. We were 10 or 11, and obviously read way too many detective stories. We stopped at the house, on our way from school, and parked our bicycles in the back. We tried the back door and the windows. The door was locked, but one of the windows on the side came loose. We pried open the window, pushed the netting aside, and climbed inside. The room we entered looked dusty and unlived in. It was a girl's bedroom. The walls were a pale yellow, there were lace curtains on the windows. The afternoon sun was streaming in from the side. There was a dressing table with one large hairbrush and a small one. The bed was made. On the bed, sat a teddy bear with one eye missing. Facing the teddy bear was a doll in a checkered dress, her doll eyes open and staring at the bear. Weird. They looked like they'd been deliberately placed there or something. Sam picked up the teddy bear and started making silly noises. You know, boys being boys. But soon, he started coughing. Probably the dust on the teddy bear. He tossed the teddy bear back on the bed, covered his mouth with the sleeve of his t-shirt, and went out. I followed him out into a hallway with doors on either side. To our immediate left was a study. There were books from top to bottom, cloth-bound. Mostly law and business and other boring stuff. At the other end of the room was a table which doubled up as a display case. There was a coin collection on display. The table was locked, and Sam was trying to wiggle it loose. Sam fancied himself a collector of sorts. He collected everything and organized them, baseball cards, coins, even pebbles. Finally he stopped, unable to get the tabletop loose. The house sounded suddenly quiet, and that's when we first heard the sound. A thud. The sound was coming from above us. Sam and I looked at each other. We each knew what the other was thinking. We had to locate the sound. We tiptoed up the stairs. They creaked every step of the way. There was only one room upstairs, the master suite. The door was ajar. We entered the room slowly. That's when we came upon the strangest scene. An old woman stood at the opposite end, facing us, a load of clothes around her. Her hair was almost completely white, done up in ringlets and ribbons. She was wearing the same type of dress we had seen on the doll. The dress looked small on her, as if she'd outgrown it. There was a small window-like opening, built into the wall, to one side of her. She grabbed a bunch of clothes, balled them up, and tossed them into the window. Then she turned and gave us a wide smile. "You're just in time for laundry," she said. Her teeth were yellow and large in her pale graying mouth. She sounded very conversational. She looked like she had been waiting for us. "You know what I do to bad little boys," she said, smiling even wider. "I throw them down a laundry chute and give them a nice little wash. That straightens them out quite a bit." Sam and I started backing out. We spun on our feet and ran down the stairs. Behind us, we heard the old woman. She was running too. This was no old woman. She was agile and gaining on us like she was 8 years old. "Don't go," she called. "Won't you stay and help me with the laundry?" Sam and I ran out the front door, shouting at the top of our voices. We ran all the way back home, before we realized we'd left our bicycles behind. We went back for the bicycles an hour later, steering clear of the house. The front door was shut, though I distinctly remember running out of it. I looked up at the upstairs windows a couple of times to check for the woman, but there was no one there. That night, I casually asked my mother if she knew who had lived in the house with the big oak. She said she'd heard a young girl had once lived there. She died in an accident. Something to do with falling down the laundry chute. The family's gone. No one lives there now, Mother said. It was way before our time. I knew better, but I didn't correct her.